changes or modify them, but be involved in that process so that we can have a stability for our schoolrooms, our cities and our counties and our communities, and get our state back on track. I suggested, along with that structural change, we need to have consolidations and elimination of duplicative functions. It makes no sense to have 5 or 6 departments competing to give money to one recipient. It should be eliminated so you have one agency dealing with one person and having the resources being able to pay for those without having to go into debt to pay for duplicate services. You need to seriously review the need for an end to term limits. You need stability. You can't have a speaker for 52 weeks or 100 weeks and expect to have stability. In a hospital, the surgeons, the trained surgeons, are those who've had experience. They're not there for 1 year and then move on to someplace else. You want them, the specialists, to be trained. And a part-time legislature so that legislators can be back in the communities working, be it a teacher, a business person, a labor leader, or whatever, but they're working within the community and then go back to Sacramento and do their legislation. And then when you have commissions that pay $135,000 a year and you only have to go 12 times a year for that salary, they ought to be eliminated, and those individuals ought to be placed on a $100 stipend for the meeting that they attend. Having these types of reforms would save resources so that our state would be back on fiscal responsibility. And then we need to look at the civil service rules and regulations and bring them up to the 21st century as a result to ensure that we have increased productivity. At the County of Los Angeles, when I was first elected, we brought in the Arthur Anderson School of Business at UCLA with our efficiency committee, Economy and Efficiency Commission. Joe Crail was the chairman at that time, an appointee. And they met and put together a consolidation. So we eliminated about 20 departments in the County of Los Angeles, which has saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars doing that. One of those individuals who later became a top official in China, Cheng Shui, said, you know, as a student at UCLA for his MBA, this is more bureaucratic than in China. That was his contribution. He couldn't believe it, but we were able to streamline the system. So you can imagine what the state would be like. And then we put together another committee. It was a commission called the Productivity Commission, and we put people from the county, from the labor organizations, and the private sector. Some of those came from our business schools. Since they were created in the early 1980s, they have saved up to $3 billion. Up to $3 billion. And every department, be our fire, our sheriff, our Department of Children and Family Services, mental health, Department of Health, have all benefited from these reforms because they helped improve the service without costing an arm and a leg to the taxpayer. So those types of reforms would help address an issue that is very serious, and if it is not resolved, we're going to have a situation today where your children will be selling souvenir postcards to people who come here to see what the great state used to be like. And again, that's, to my opinion, that's serious. Now, in public safety, when we talk about the county budget, we have nearly a $23 billion budget. We have had to reduce our budget by approximately $300 to $400 million. We don't know what's going to happen in the new revisions that are going to take place with Sacramento. And but one opportunity that we had done, we saved up for a rainy day. Unlike some of the other cities, the city of Los Angeles, they didn't. They continued to spend. So they have maybe as much as $1 billion deficit. We were able to use our rainy day fund. We were able to cut our departments without impacting the fire and sheriff delivery of services. And as a result, we are going to get by this year. Our property tax evaluation, the revenues coming in, last year we increased by 6.9%. This year we are down minus 1.06%. And we would assume that figure will be the same for next year as well. But the board has been united in that effort of keeping a prudent reserve, and our employees have taken no salary increases for this year. We had a unanimous vote for the Board of Supervisors because, you know, about 70% of your budget are personnel, and we have to look at reducing those costs. And every person in our department, we appreciate all their service. To a person said, we will sacrifice to keep the system going. And that's the type of dedicated public service that you have servants in the County of Los Angeles. On the public safety, that still remains a top priority. Despite the problems with the state budget, our jail facilities remain fully open and operational. And we have great concerns with the governor's proposal to allow hardcore criminals to be getting out earlier or reducing their sentences. And people don't realize many times a person can be arrested for attempted murder with a gun or whatever. And by the time they plea bargain it down, they plea bargain it down to 415, which is like disturbing the peace. So when they say these people are not hardcore, they were just disturbing the peace, they had a problem. Yeah, but look at the arrest records. See what it really states. That they had a gun. Not that somebody thought they had a gun, but they had a gun and there was a gun registered as evidence. And then to tell the community that it's only a 415, these people can be walking the streets, is utter nonsense. But these are some of the serious issues we'll be facing. Our unincorporated patrols and cop teams remain strong and free of cuts to provide the highest level. The effective disarm program, which I initiated after the disastrous shooting at the Granada Hills Jewish Center and the killing of the post in Chatsworth, we have removed over 5,500 guns off the streets, arms off the streets. We're talking about assault weapons, handguns, machine guns, other types of weapons. And we have saved or confiscated over $300 million in drug money. And over 10,000, nearly 11,000 were sent back to jail with that one program. And that program continues to exist. 12% of all probationers in this program have been out of compliance with their terms of probation. Like they kept their guns and they kept doing what they were doing when they were ordered on probation by the court. The county has applied for the federal COPS grant resources, asking for 354 additional deputies, and that will be deployed in the unincorporated areas for enhanced patrols. The new Santa Clarita Valley Detective Bureau headquarters is an additional 9,500 square footage of space that will accommodate an additional 46 employees for the Detectives Bureau and the Community Interactive Team, and it's located right near the police station. We are hoping to get a new sheriff's station in the future. We do not have a site at this time. We have already, those developer fees that are used for the new stations are being in a savings account. The courthouse, as we all know, which is very, very much needed, is due for a replacement under Senate Bill 1407, which is a revenue bond for courthouse constructions. My staff and I are working closely with the state's administrative office of the courts of the new courthouse projects, which will improve access to the judicial system for our criminal justice partners, as well as all of those who require court services. We'll continue to work with the administrative office of the courts, since they are now in charge of the building of the court. The counties were removed in the state of California through state legislation a couple of years ago, where the